Hey everybody, Emily from Relentless here. Wanted to go over a common asked question that we get now that summer season is approaching, and that is, what is the difference between sport conditioning and speed and agility? So speed and agility is definitely a huge buzzword, and it makes sense because when you look at your athlete playing her sport, you think, oh, my daughter needs to be faster and she needs to be more agile. You don't think, oh, she needs to be stronger or more conditioned. But in fact, both things directly underpin what speed and agility is. So think of speed and agility as a skill. And just like any skill, an athlete first needs to demonstrate a sense of body awareness and body control before she can adequately learn that skill. Additionally, the athlete needs to demonstrate that she has the capacity to handle repeated loading of her body, because speed and agility, when done correctly, is really intense. So at Relentless, what we have found is that it is best to invite our athletes into this program after they've developed a sense of body awareness, body control, and strength. This is because, one, your athlete is actually going to gain something from this type of program if she already has body control, as well as she's at a much lower risk of injury if she's already demonstrated the capacity to handle high joint loading, because your daughter's already playing a sport where she's doing that all of the time, and our job is to prepare her. So at Relentless, if your athlete has not yet demonstrated that sense of body control and body awareness, we don't want to waste your money. That's not the type of business that this is. We're here to actually give our athletes and their parents education behind their programming and why we suggest certain things. And having an athlete that maybe is only 10 and she still isn't fully grown and she's still learning her body, she's not going to get anything from this type of training. She's not going to actually be able to control her body, and it's going to be a waste of money. And we're not here to do that. On the opposite side of the spectrum is sports conditioning. So sports conditioning is more about cardiovascular development. So this is what a lot of times gets confusing with speed training. So sprint training is a type of sport conditioning. Sprint training should be done prior to your competitive season, because not only are you going to be prepared for the high outputs of running that your sport is going to require, but even more, your joints will be prepared. That way we're going to help reduce the risk of experiencing shin splints or any tendonitis that's going to occur because you went from 0 to 100 without any conditioning. So at Relentless, we highly suggest sport conditioning for all of our athletes. We like to introduce muscular endurance or low joint loading type of conditioning. So this is more of a circuit style for athletes when they're coming out of a high competitive season. This is because at this point, the athlete's probably demonstrating some type of achy pain in an ankle or foot, and that's because she's been doing so much loading through running. So by doing a type of muscular endurance, we're allowing that body to kind of heal up while also maintaining that cardiovascular development. As you approach summer, let's say you're a fall athlete getting into your fall season, this is when we're going to pick a type of conditioning training that's specific for you. For example, for a softball athlete, we need to make sure that she's running very short bursts and is extremely powerful, because the furthest she's ever going to have to run is around the base, or let's say she's an outfield. Conversely, for a field hockey player, we know that she's going to cover about 5 miles, but she's, in terms of how long each play, won't be longer than a minute. So we're going to make sure that we develop her conditioning to match the needs of her specific sport. We're not having her run 5 miles, because even though she covers 5 miles in a game, it's not steady state. Instead, it's repeated sprint ability. Speed and agility, once an athlete has now demonstrated that prerequisite level of strength and body awareness, think of this as a skills class. This is a way of getting your athlete to kind of fine-tune her movement patterns, as well as really work on her ability to move with efficiency when not planned. That takes a certain level of maturity and physical preparation before we're ever going to expose an athlete to this. So just like conditioning, speed and agility should also be done leading up to a season, and should really be downplayed when your athlete is in her sports season, because she's already getting conditioning, she's already getting that skill work in every time she plays her sport. The one thing that should last year round is strength training. So that's a big reason our programs are run this way. Think of strength training as the foundation, and think of sports conditioning and speed and agility as supplements. So sports conditioning is meant for everybody, especially prepare for your preseason. Speed and agility is a great thing to add in once your athlete has demonstrated that level of body awareness and control and the capacity to handle high forces, knowing that she'll be at a lower risk, because that's going to be like the cherry on top to help her move best way possible. If you have any questions about which is best for your athlete, feel free to reach out. Hopefully this helps.